repeatedly stated our solemn position that we're firmly opposed to Speaker Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. If the US pushes ahead and challenges China's bottom line, it will inevitably face firm countermeasures. The US side will bear all the consequences arising from this.
Senior fellow at the Taihe Institute. All right, Einar, why should, in China's view, Taiwan not boost its defenses? Not necessarily against a potential Chinese invasion that everybody seems to be talking about lately, but in case of any threat.
Well, quite frankly, they don't have any threats. And this is kind of facetious to say that they need to boost their defenses. Right now, you have an administration in Taiwan that is skirting the line in terms of talking about independence. Back in 1973 and 4, it was recognized when Taiwan was removed, not voluntarily, but forcibly from the UN because of the One China policy. What China sees is a derogation of the very principle upon which China joined the international community, that the U.S. has accepted. The U.S. was under the Taiwan Relations Act. Yes, they could provide supplies and updates to existing military weapons, but that has gone far beyond anything that was necessary for that sphere. Right now, these are offensive weapons. And yes, China is very concerned that the U.S. is trying to change the status quo in their mind to try to figure out some way of keeping China on an edge so that they can continue to try to suppress its economic rise.
Yeah, there have been some mixed messages lately coming from the White House. Lawmakers in America have some more room to speak their minds on this, and some of the statements they've made have been absolutely unambiguous. I mean, you have the top Senate Republican calling for the U.S. to contribute to Taiwan's defense. Now we're going to have this call happening this week between the two presidents. Is there any room to iron out some of this strong rhetoric we've heard on both sides?
Well, I think it's the actions that are most concerning. Taiwan does not want this upward salami slicing increase in diplomatic relations between Taiwan and the U.S. because this is pushing towards the red line where Taiwan perhaps thinks that it can declare itself independent with the U.S. backing. The Taiwanese people should be concerned that they do not want to become another Ukraine. There you had a situation where Europe and America went into Ukraine knowing full well, based on advice given by Kissinger, by all the Cold War warriors, that if you go into Ukraine, you will have a conflict. So this is the same type of situation. The U.S. often tries to say that it's China and Russia that are pushing it. But when you back somebody into a corner on an issue that they think is important, especially when it's territory or security, you cannot be surprised when there's a reaction.
Yeah, well, and that's how you end up at a standoff when you have these vastly differing opinions on one side's action. So in this case, China has warned the U.S. of serious consequences if the U.S. House Speaker visits Taiwan. They've made similar statements on other U.S. actions and things like that. What does China mean? Some have interpreted those words as a threat of war.
Well, I don't think it's a threat of war, but it's going to be fairly serious. It probably would be economic in nature. It could have a debilitating effect on the U.S. economy, which is already facing inflation. Right now, China's biggest weapon is the fact that the U.S. it has 2.5% inflation. The U.S. is 9.1. If they take economic actions, you could see that increase. Remember that China is still the industrial center of the world. They produce a lot of things, especially small things, intermediate goods, toys, clothes, shoes, etc. And these are absolutely necessary and would, as I said, add to inflation if it goes through. Remember that Nancy Pelosi is doing this for domestic considerations. She has an unpopular president. She is trying to seize the mantle and look tougher on China than the Republicans, so she can deny them that ground. And you saw that in the speeches of the president and previous vice president today.
Yeah, sure. I think those are some good points. Einar, thanks a lot for joining us.